start off, just talk about being here in El Paso and doing this event to celebrate the Veterans on Memorial Day.
Well, I think what better way to spend Memorial Day than with the men and women of the armed forces? And it's not my first time in El Paso, obviously, with all my years of WWE, and the Sun Bowl, Oklahoma in the Sun Bowl one year. So I couldn't think of a better way. Would I like to be grilling? I'd like to be in my backyard? Well, of course, who wouldn't? But to get this opportunity, and I look at it as an opportunity, I'm very excited and privileged to be here.
How's the transition to boxing been from wrestling?
Well, the transition from wrestling to boxing the preparation is basically the same, not unlike I did when I did NFL football or the XFL. The preparation still stays the same. Remain diligent and try to learn all you can about the participants. But I'll let you know Monday night how the transition goes wholeheartedly. But I think it's going to be fine. I think the general feel for what's going on in the ring and the body English will tell you a lot of stories about the fighters. The only thing I don't know is the outcome. It's still a process, and it's still drama, and it's still excitement. And the only thing I don't know is the outcome. And believe it or not, in my WWE days, I would rather not know the outcome as to know it, because I was more spontaneous.
How different is JR going to be from JR Sports Entertainment to Jim Ross in boxing?
I never played the role of a wrestling announcer. I was always me, for what better or for worse, broadcasting pro wrestling. So I don't anticipate being any different. If there's something to get excited about, I will be there. I'm not going to pretend like something's great if it isn't. I'm not going to try to sell you something that where it's not grooving. So I don't expect it to be any different. I expect to have fun, entertain the audience, and the main thing my job is not to analyze the boxing as much as tell you who these young fighters are and why you should care about them and why this fight's important to them. So I don't expect there to be any major changes, but I might have to revise that at late Monday night. But I think we'll be good.
Any boxing lines you'd like to try out on us?
No, I never. I was a very impromptu kind of guy. Believe it or not, I never scripted lines. People always say, "Well, did you write that stuff when Mick Foley got thrown off the Hell in a Cell?" People put in all the videos. I didn't know he was going to go off the Hell in a Cell. So what I said was what I felt.
And what was that?
Oh my God, they killed him or something along those lines. It's out there, and all these dunks and UFC knockouts and all these things. So the point is I go by instinct and feel for the game, if I'm doing football or I'm doing MMA or boxing or pro wrestling. To me, I just get in the moment and try to entertain and with the respect due the genre that I'm in. I realize that this event is not pro wrestling. I get it. But I also get that I'm a fan. I've been a fan since I was a kid. I respect the genre, and I'm going to give it all the respect it deserves and try to hit a home run on Monday.
Best match you ever called in wrestling? Most memorable?
Well, the Foley-Undertaker match probably is the most memorable because I get reminded of it every day. And all these websites lift the audio and put it on all these events. Hockey goals, slam dunks, Jadeveon Clowney hits. I think the best match I ever called was probably Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 in Houston. And it's hard to say. I tell people this. I have two daughters. It's almost like asking me which daughter I like the better. It's tough.
Last time you were here in El Paso was for that Oklahoma UTEP game 2 years ago. How does it feel to be back in this town, and what memories do you have of that game?
Well, I remember that UTEP played Oklahoma off their feet, and that UTEP played harder than OU. The difference was the talent level. There was an effort. UTEP had great effort, and they were well coached and they're well prepared, but the talent depth as the game wore on became an issue. Because the way we played, I didn't think we were going to win the ball game for a lot. We had the worst first half that we've ever had. And then I came down when OU played Stanford in the Sun Bowl, when Harbaugh was still at Stanford, and they had Andrew was hurt. Andrew Luck was hurt in that game. Didn't play, thank God. They had Toby Gerhardt, so we keyed on him. But it was always good. You know, I get my quota of Mexican food, which I love, and so that's what I'm doing Sunday night and probably for lunch Monday. I probably won't be fit to be around for a couple of days, but be that as it may, I'm going to enjoy myself.
How about 2019 and 2022 UTEP going to Norman? You got tickets yet?
I have 6 season tickets to all OU games, and I haven't missed a game at home or away in a few years. The last game that I missed was, believe it or not, we did Raw on a Saturday night in Mexico City, and I was John Cena's tag team partner, as embarrassing as that is for John Cena, against Michael Cole and Alberto Del Rio. And the brilliant minds didn't think that Alberto was going to be cheered in his home country, and so the roles all got reversed as usual. But it was that's the last time I missed a game. I go to all of them, and we're still trying to figure out how West Virginia's in the Big 12 because they're not near anything. You can't get there from here, but it's fun to be out of that loop. You know, my podcast's doing well. I'm having fun with that, and do these one-man shows where I talk about my career and do the Q&As. That's a blast. And then this came along, and it said, one of the folks at Fox said, "Do you think you could do boxing?" I said, "You know, I've always wanted to try." So I'm like a kid in a candy store now. This is new for me, so I'm very excited about how it's going to come out, and we put the effort in to prepare, and I hope everybody likes it.
Why has boxing always been something you wanted to try?
Big fan. Back when I was a kid on Friday nights, there was a show called the Gillette Friday Night Fights with an announcer named Don Dumphy. And any of you guys that I talk with this group that ever thought about being a play-by-play guy or a sportscaster, he did boxing by himself, no color guy, and it was just enough. He was never over-talked it. He told you a great story, and it was so analytical, and he brought you into the fight. And by the second or third round, you're fully invested. He was really a genius at what he did. So I've always loved broadcasters. Harry Carey and Jack Buck were two of my role models, and you know. Ray Scott, Kurt Gowdy, Chris Schenkel. So all those voices were guys that stuck in my head, and I knew I wanted to be a broadcaster. Then I thought, well, this wrestling thing will be a temporary deal, and it lasted 40 years. And so now that I'm not in it, it gives me a chance to kind of, well, I can try this. You know, maybe somebody said, "Are you going to do football?" I said, "Not if I have to miss an OU game, no. But I'm going to do some other things." So this boxing, I hope, is the first of several opportunities in this genre.
Are you hoping to be in it in the long run, and are you hoping to bring some of your WWE wrestling fans or entertainment fans to watch you here?
I hope to be proficient enough on my first outing that I'm given an opportunity to do more. That's going to be up to the decision makers and how well I do. We'll see. The effort will be there, but as far as my audience is concerned, you know, they've been very loyal to me over the years, through all my Bell's palsy situations, health issues, all kinds of things. And I think that they're going to sample boxing. A lot of them are going to sample boxing Monday night. Maybe some for the first time, maybe some for the first time in a long time. But I'm hopeful that they will give it a shot.
Is there an opportunity that you get to do some of the backstage stuff with these guys, like show them how to cut some promos and get a little bit more interest from non-boxing fans to watch the shows?
I think if the opportunity comes up, whether it be in boxing or a USC environment, to have an opportunity to sit down and talk to fighters about being able to better verbally express themselves without being phony. Don't go over the top. Don't cut a old school wrestling promo where it's a falsetto voice and so forth. Just be yourself, but have your thoughts collected as to how you're going to market yourself for this fight. The thing these kids got to realize is that there's only so many fights in you. You know, there's an expiration date somewhere in the DNA. So maximize the opportunities while you can, and to do that, you need to learn how to sell and sell your fights. It's just like doing play-by-play. You got to take advantage of the opportunities. That's how I look at my deal. I'm 62 years old. I'm reinventing myself. So I'm nervous as a kid out of college at a new gig, new job. So I'm very excited about Monday night, and if given the opportunity, I would be happy to help any of those guys. And we may do some of that in the fighter meetings today.
You talked about some of the play-by-play guys that made an impact on you. Was there maybe a favorite boxer that you had growing up, or in recent years, or maybe a favorite match that you watched and you said, God, I'd really love to get in on that?
Well, I think the spectacle of some of those Muhammad Ali fights back in the day, the stadium shows, the atmosphere was so unique, or the Madison Square Garden. I never thought I'd get from the farm in eastern Oklahoma to Madison Square Garden in my life, and I then ended up broadcasting a ton of events in the Garden, and it is everything you thought it would be. It's like Dennis Green. They are who we thought they were. But Ali was the guy. He came in and did a wrestling thing for us back in the Mid-South days, and he and I shared a suite. He had a room, I had a room, then we had a living room as our common ground, and we spent 4 days together, and it was four of the most exciting, eye-opening, eventful days I've ever had. And if I was smart, and I wasn't at that juncture because I was so starstruck, I would have had a recorder just like these. I'd have turned it on, and we would just talked and talked. We talked all night. He didn't need any sleep. He had the most amazing metabolism anybody I've ever seen, but he gave me a great background on boxing and how boxing was, especially how boxing was for a black man. It was really a tremendous history course from him. So he was kind of my guy. But then I got to know Mike Tyson. When Tyson came into that storyline with WWE, I found out that Mike was a huge wrestling fan and legit. And so Mike's a good dude. I know he's had his issues, and I believe people should be given a second chance. But none of us are perfect. Nobody walking the earth is perfect. So I love the heavyweights. But then I got to be buddies with Floyd Mayweather when Floyd came to do WWE, and he legit broke Big Show's nose, which made Big Show the angriest I've ever seen in my lifetime. Go back and look at that clip. When Floyd, bam, and the nose was flatter like a piece of fruit, Big Show's face told the whole story. Better than I could ever describe it. He was violently angry because Floyd tapped him a little hard, and there went the broken nose. So Floyd's cool, and Floyd is such a cool guy. He plays the role of a villain on TV so that people buy his pay-per-views to see him lose.
So many great stories to tell.
Well, we've had great life experiences. When I was on the road every Monday night for, a quarter of a century, and no off season. So you're around these gregarious, outlandish characters that sometimes are bigger characters outside the ring than they are inside the ring. So consequently, you get to experience some really unique life experiences, and I've got a lot of crazy friends, and I use the podcast for a way to reconnect with some guys. I talked to Ted DiBiase recently, and I hadn't seen Ted in a while. Bill Goldberg I hadn't talked to since he left WWE back in '04. Yeah, so that's 10 years ago, and I hadn't talked to him since in a decade. And I got him on my podcast, and it was the #1 rated podcast in the sports category in the world. So if people wanted to hear him talk and hear what I was going to ask him, so it was good. And I don't have a hard, it's a feel thing, and you just whatever. And the key thing in interviewing anybody are follow-up questions. It's not your script; it's your follow-up questions.
Got to ask you this in the border. What's your take on lucha libre? You a fan of lucha libre at all, or would you ever want to call that? I mean,
I'm not. We've had some great some guys with wonderful lucha libre backgrounds come to WWE and WCW back in the day. Their style is very unique. It's a little faster than my taste. I like a little, not so deliberate as you're bored, but I like to be able to process everything I see. And sometimes their pace is a little bit hard to process. But are they skilled? Absolutely. And is it colorful and fun to watch? Without question. But I don't know that I'd have to do a lot of homework to get my game up to the level that I understand their psychology. Their in-ring psychology to me is a lot more agility. It's not as much storytelling. It's a lot of spots, a lot of moves, not a lot of holes. So, but I don't dislike it. I mean, some of my buddies learned in lucha libre. I mean, Chris Jericho learned there. Eddie Guerrero's dad was one of the greatest of all time in lucha libre, and my respect for the Guerrero family is huge. So I wouldn't. It'd be another adventure. It'd be like boxing. It'd be something new. Who knows? You never know. Never say never.
What's your opinion on Unico? He's a local kid, and now he's running with the Sin Cara character.
Oh, he's a real good athlete. He's a real good athlete, and I hope he succeeds because he's no maintenance. He's not a diva. Not that the girls are all this way, but you know what I mean. Theoretically speaking, he's a very low maintenance guy, hard worker, tough kid, durable, reliable. He has all the qualities you want, and he has a chance to take that mask. Because there's not that many masked men on a global basis. So he realizes that this is a wonderful opportunity to be this huge masked star in WWE, and he really motivates himself. I think he could be really, really good.
$1 million question: cowboy hat or no cowboy hat tomorrow?
No cowboy hat. I think pretty much I'll wear a suit, you know, but I'm not. Cowboy hat I'll use for my one-man shows or wrestling, you know, wrestling-related functions. But other than that, the cowboy hat's on a sabbatical. I tell people, I kid them, that I had to leave the hat with Mr. McMahon because now that I'm gone, if he comes back, he wants to wear it, which is obviously ridiculous. So in any event, no cowboy hat tomorrow night. But same passion, same drive, same enthusiasm, just no hat.
Thank you very much, and good luck, Mr. Ross.
Thank you very much. Thank you for taking time.